everyone, and welcome back to another amazing podcast by some of the coolest young adults you will ever meet in your entire life. Today, we have a special guest who happens to be my father and your father in Christ, Abuna John Corey. That's pretty cool. So, first of all, we're going to talk about how we changed our podcast name to Precious Vessel. And we felt like Precious Vessel embodies who we really are as Orthodox Christians because we are the precious vessels of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Today, we're going to be talking about St. George, the trophy bearer. And we have Father John to explain a little bit more about that.
Hey guys, how are you? Thank you for allowing me to join you guys today. When I heard the topic, I was so excited. I was so happy to be invited to join in and to discuss it for many reasons. First of all, when you talk about our patron saint, St. George, who comes from our homeland in Palestine, obviously we have a real connection because of the actual place he comes from. But greater than that, why I love to talk about St. George is because he embodies the totality of living in the truth of Christ. And I heard that you guys changed the name of your podcast, and I applaud that, to the Precious Vessels, because here St. George embodies that in its totality. Actually, Christ said that there is no one that suffered as much for his namesake as St. George did. He was persecuted under Diocletian, who was a ruthless dictator, persecutor of Christians, murderer, and he lived during that time where the Christians were being persecuted for their beliefs. And for 7.5 years, St. George stayed fast in his faith. Nothing took away his faith in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So for us, it's great for us to take upon him as our example, to ask for his intercession all the time. He's one of the saints that I always ask to protect and watch over his parishioners, the people that attend his church, but all of the Christians. And so I feel a very close connection to St. George. And I would leave you with this, because I do have some things I have to do today. And that I pray that St. George always is reigning over our lives and watching over you all and all the youth that are in our care and on our parishes all over the world. So continue to pray to him, continue to ask for his intercession, and God bless you all. And thank you for bringing him up as a topic for one of your podcasts. Love you guys, and have a good time, all right? Take care. Love you.
Thanks, Abuna. Let's get into our topic today about social media and the good and bad about it.
So, what do you guys think about social media nowadays?
I think social media is pretty cool, but obviously, there's a lot of fun things that go with it. You have all these memes, you can communicate with people, instantaneously, catch up with your friends. But obviously there's some downfalls to it. It's very addictive and it takes away from the important things in life. There's a lot of influences and temptations on there that you need to watch out for. But yeah.
I agree with Chris. I think one of the biggest influences today is the app TikTok. I think it's very, very hard to get off of it once you get on. I don't know if you guys wanted to add on about your experience with other social media platforms, but for me, a really big temptation is through TikTok. It's hard to get off.
Yeah, for me, I had TikTok before and I deleted it eventually. I'm telling you, when you delete TikTok, it makes a big difference. Like, it's so addicting because like they know like what you like or something like that, and you just keep swiping and swiping. But yeah, I think Instagram is kind of similar too, because like who you follow people like, or like sport pages, for example, that you're interested in. So Instagram can be like the same thing. But yeah, it's good to get off it sometimes, but it's not easy.
I think the main difference between Instagram and TikTok is one, yeah, TikTok is very addicting because it's like actual content, but the algorithm puts it in a way that it knows it's gonna show you things that you're gonna watch, and it's like what, less than a minute per video. So like someone like me that may have like some of the short attention span just keeps going on and on and on. Well, next thing you know, I'll be on for an hour, maybe two. Whereas Instagram, that's changed a little bit. I feel like it's a lot of influencers and you can't even see your own friends' posts anymore.
I think another part where it's kind of different is that TikTok compared to Instagram, your feed is who you follow, so you kind of know who is going to post and you could like get sick of it, and swipe off. But TikTok, the majority of your feed is from strangers that you don't know, and you're just seeing it for the first time. And it's like 7 seconds, like what you were saying, Michael, video. So it's like, it keeps your attention. I think the attention span is for the teenagers is lessening every year, which is hard. So I think that has a big impact.
Yeah. So if I may speak, I won't be long this time. We've learned from the last episode. But I do have social media, not TikTok. Everyone always bugs me to get it. I still haven't. Don't know if I ever will, but time will tell. So yeah, social media, it's interesting, especially you guys brought up how the algorithm works. And so the first basis I want to go off is kind of just social media in general. It's not necessarily the social media itself that's bad or good. It's the intention and how it's used. At least that's how I see it. So you can use social media for good things, whether that just be, promoting positivity, promoting, good things in life, even maybe showing your bad side, but in order to help someone else learn through you in a way. You got to be careful when you do it that way though. So it just really depends on the intention. You can use it to spread Christ. You can use it to for charities. So there's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad. So it just depends on the intention. And you guys brought up the algorithm, and I know Chris might have something to say because I know he loves AI. So algorithms are interesting, especially nowadays. I saw a good documentary, two of them, but two documentaries on this. One of them is called The Great Hack, but before that I saw another one. It's called The Social Dilemma. I saw that one, and then I saw The Great Hack. So The Social Dilemma really goes into that idea of, they're both on Netflix, by the way, if anyone wants to watch them. It really goes into the idea of how the AI and algorithm work. I really find it interesting, especially how nowadays, like, I believe Michael brought up the idea of AI, which is very interesting because the algorithm really directs people in a certain way. It kind of keeps you attached, and that's kind of what it is. When you pick up your phone, you get certain notifications based off the algorithm of, maybe, oh, this person saw your story, this person liked it, this person just posted, oh, it's been a while since this person posted, and it kind of gets you going. It learns who you are, and it kind of, in a way, tries to understand us better than we understand ourselves. So social media is very interesting, especially in terms of the algorithm. And, it depends how you want to use social media. You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. I'm going to cut myself off right there. There's a lot to say, but who else has something to add on to that? Chris, I know you might.
I mean, once you said AI, I got to add on. I really like talking about AI, if you know me. Just in case if you don't know what AI stands for, it stands for artificial intelligence. And what it is, it's basically like an algorithm that's programmed to learn, right? So like take Instagram, for example. The like button, right? You scroll through Instagram, you like things, and Instagram will start noticing this, and it'll use those programs to figure out the things that you like, and then start getting maybe other posts that you would have not been exposed to before and start feeding you that. Because the main purpose of it is to keep you on the app for as long as possible. So I like how you brought up The Social Dilemma, because that's something that I watched and I actually really enjoyed. So if you have the time to watch it, you should. But one of the points that they brought up about it is that these programs, they want you to keep scrolling. They want you to keep on the app so that they make more money. They're not necessarily thinking about your health. They're thinking about the money of it. So social media, it can be good, and it can, it's a way to connect with people. There's a lot of benefits to it. But when you're using it, you have to keep in mind that it's also a platform like a business, right? People are trying to make money off of you. You know, advertisers will pay money to show, you know, to get their advertisement on there. And it becomes to the point where the social media platforms use you as the product and they're selling it to businesses so that they could get you to buy their products. So yeah, AI has a big part in doing that. And it's one of the reasons why it's so addictive. And, you know, it's just something cool to be aware of.
Yeah, you're right. So add on to that so the AI, and I think it plays a part, right? So it really depends on someone's intention. What's their intention with social media? So if someone has a good intention, typically the things they maybe look up or that they're promoting they're not bad. So the rest of their feed kind of shows up with similar things. But then you can get caught in a rabbit hole though. Maybe, well, first of all, even the person doing good things, I might think the whole world is just like that. It's all perfect and it's all butterflies, but you know, we try to focus on the world and God's love here. But there obviously is, you know, a lot that goes on in the world. But then there's the other side of it, like I was talking about the rabbit hole, that maybe their social feed, maybe things aren't, let's take it from their perspective that maybe things aren't going well in their life. And they're kind of just, maybe they're not posting the best things, they're looking up things aren't the best, or just they're following people maybe that are very worldly and a lot of materialism. And then kind of their algorithm, it learns that. It begins to see, even if you sometimes it's gonna be one way and you can change another, the algorithm will read that, and that way it starts building your own personality for you in a way. It kind of says this person likes this, so let me give them more content, and that's just because that's how the algorithm is set up. And if you fall into that rabbit hole, and your feed keeps promoting the same things you've been looking at, whatever it may be, you're going to get stuck with it, and it's going to be very hard to get out because that's all you're going to be seeing day in and day out. And you're going to keep getting notified all day by your phone to keep checking. Oh, look at this person posted. Look what this person did. And you kind of catch yourself in a trap that, you know, you keep looking at the same content. And if it's not good content for yourself, whether mentally, your health-wise, spiritually, whatever it may be, if it's not good content and it keeps being fed to you every day, you're going to get stuck. And that's what your mentality is going to start to look like. And in a way, that's who you start to become, what the algorithm tells you to be, what social media tells you to be. Maybe, and it could be maybe based off one post you looked at, and because the algorithm saw you did that and thought you had an interest, it begins promoting similar posts. And if it's not on a good path, at least from my perspective, something that maybe is not on a good path, it's not good for you mentally, spiritually, or in any other aspect, you're going to continue to fall down that path. And you're going to, by each notification, you're going to keep getting summoned into it. And that's what your world's going to become. Your world is going to become your phone and what you view from an app. And that's the negative side to it. However, of course, you can use social media to promote good things, but it's just to be aware. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here, just promote awareness. And that's as most of we can do. And maybe the first step is just for everyone to be aware of the algorithm. But that being said, being aware doesn't get rid of it. You can still fall for it. And I catch myself checking my phone. Sometimes I think my phone buzzes and there's no messages. There's no notification. And I think it's called there's a word for it. I think it's like phantom ring or phantom buzz or something. And so yeah, it's an actual thing that happens. That's just how we begin to lose ourselves when we become our phones. We begin to become connected to the fake world that our minds create, you know, and then we lose our intended identity from God. And where God gives us freedom, we're born with freedom, and that's what God gives us. And we begin to lose our identity from God. And no longer become, because we all strive to become our best image of God, right? That's our goal as Christians. And the problem with social media is that sometimes you can fall into that rabbit hole, as I explained, and your image is no longer following the image of God, but your image becomes the image of your phone, the image of an algorithm, the image of what social media and what the world tells you to be. It's no longer following and trying to become the image of God. It's becoming what the world wants you to be and not how you feel you should be, maybe. Or it'll tell you should feel this way, you should be this way. And we no longer think for ourselves. And God gave us that gift to be able to, in our minds, to think for ourselves, be able to make decisions, that free will. And in a way, yes, you made the choice to go on social media, but in a way, which is, I guess you could say, debatable. But in a way, the algorithm takes away your free will by manipulation. And this is obviously the negative sides. I know there's a bunch of positive sides, but we want to build awareness. So we just have to do our best to not lose our identity that God gave us and to become the image of Christ to the best of our ability, and to not fall into the trap of social media and lose ourselves to what the world wants and to what our telephone or what our cellular phone, I sound old now, to what your phone wants you to become.
Well, I wanted to talk about piggybacking off of what Andres said about the rabbit hole. Sometimes we get lost in the world and we go to social media to escape the world. And I feel like we shouldn't do that sometimes, but it happens because that's just who we are as human beings, because we're made of this world, but we're not of the world. So we have to make sure we're not falling down that hole of going into social media and just getting consumed by it, and making sure that we're trying to put Christ first and we're not getting lost in the world, and we're trying to do our best to be the best version of who we can be.
Yeah, I don't know if we got the chance to talk into like how Instagram particularly is like quote unquote fake. How everyone puts on like the best picture of themselves or them doing extravagant things, traveling the world. And when you click up follow someone's account, you look at them like, oh, it's your normal life. But like you and I both know, we all know that Instagram is a very, very fake place. It's ingenuine. And I mean, I as well, everyone is involved in it. So something just to be aware of every time you go on. Because as Rita said, we go on social media to escape the world, but social media is the world, but a ingenuine version of it.
That's a good point. For me, I wanted just to say, like, I mean, there is obviously a lot of good, like, you can promote a lot of good things, like your faith, like charity, like a business. And those are all good things you can do that social media helps with. But when you guys were talking, something came in my mind. So like obviously that like having Instagram, there's good and bad with it, and going on it is fine, but taking breaks off it, is good. And it kind of reminded me of something I heard from St. John Chrysostom. He said, because he lived like in a big city, he said like, it's fine to live in a big city, but it's good to like travel away like a little bit at a time to like a country and get away from like the world in a sense. And it kind of reminded me of social media. Like you can be on social media, have good intentions with it, but it's good to also get off it as well. So that kind of like just reminded me of that. I wanted to say that, but yeah.
And then I kind of, I was kind of a little negative in mine. I did put a little positivity in there about social media, but I want to add a little bit more, just really quick. That, for example, we've been having Zooms with Abuna John recently. For the people that know, anyone watching or listening that has heard, if not, maybe I'll put some links below for the time being, the ones that are working right now. So, anyways, a good aspect of social media is that, or just media in general, is, for example, the Zoom meetings. Abuna John has met 14 new people he's never seen before in our recent Zooms. And that social media and media allowed us to connect, which is a very positive aspect to it, especially, Abuna John promoting Christ and just giving people life lessons at the end of the day, at the very least, that someone can take something with them into their life to grow and to improve and to grow further, and their walk with God, their journey into the faith, and just maybe social media has allowed for that spark. And I'm sure a lot of them maybe found us through the Vicariate PJ Youth Ministry Instagram page. And through that, maybe they got interested. Maybe they saw a post they liked and they liked it. Maybe they kept following it. Maybe that's where the algorithm allowed for them to find happiness, to find something good. I don't know what the rest of their feed is like, but at least that one thing, right? Because in all darkness, there's always light. And, there was never a time when there wasn't light, and God is always there in everything, in all things. So we can't just totally disregard everything and just say it's all bad or say it's all good when it comes to social media, because there are the good aspects. And I think that's a beautiful thing that Abuna John got the chance to meet 14 new people from Southern California, miles away, hundreds of miles, 300-400 miles, wherever they are in SoCal. And it's just a beautiful aspect to it, if you guys want to add to that.
Also, I think like bringing people together, right? I think social media right now is actually very important because, in these weird times with the pandemic, it's harder to see people. Without all the social media, it would be a lot harder to stay connected with people. And, as human beings, we thrive for human connection. So social media does a lot of good. You know, I mean, I'm not expecting anybody watching this to like, you know, have their minds completely like blown and like, you know, delete all their like Instagram, you know, Snapchat. Like, I'm not doing any of that. I mean, I'm keeping it, you know, I'm keeping my memes, I'm doing all that. But you know, it's always good to keep in mind, you know, that it could get addictive, and you know, there's more important things to focus on in life than, you know, just your phone. Because I think especially in 2020, 2021, it looks like it's going to be a lot of people are spending most of their times with technology and social media, which, you know, it's kind of hard to not do since there's really nothing else to do. But I feel like it's healthy, you know, go for a walk, you know, go outside, you know, maybe play some basketball in the park, you know, find something else to do, you know, maybe something that's healthy, you know, something that's spiritual. You know, try to take some time in the day, you know, to pray, to thank God for what you have.
I agree with that point. I think that's a really good point. And I think with this whole corona and pandemic problem, I think a very good thing and what I've been trying to do through this is to create a sort of schedule to organize my time so I don't spend too much time on my phone. So I would create a schedule with trying to do what, like Chris said, going for a walk, working out, reading a book, and having certain times where I could watch a movie or be on my phone, putting a schedule like what it was before, going to school, having sports, you know, trying to live the normal life without, you know, ruining it for other people and harming. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that and what you think you guys have done through this pandemic that could help you with the addiction and this the phone problem, to be honest.
I have a tip, maybe two tips. Take them as you will. Maybe one, if anyone that wants to try it. First, there is a way to set a limit on your phone. You could set a time for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm not sure exactly what it lets you. And you can make a password and give it to someone else. And when your time runs out, I think maybe it offers you 1 more minute so you can wrap up what you're doing. But after that, it's locked until you put in the code, and maybe someone else has the code, and maybe you won't want to bother them for the code. So you won't get it. But the point is that you stay off of it or have a time limit set. Another thing you can do is, if maybe the code will help with this, but if not, you can set a time limit for each day just for yourself. And maybe it's not how much time you spend on your phone, but how much time you spend off your phone. And you could start small. It's kind of like this book I read, The Compound Effect, and I'm going through it, and it has some good points. And just, you know, start small even. And over time, you might not see results right away, but over time it'll work. Maybe start with, if however works for you, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever works for you. Start. So let's say 30 minutes. You start for 30 minutes every day, let's say for 2 to 3 weeks. You know, we'll say 2 weeks. You start 30 minutes a day, 2 weeks, and that 30 minutes of that day is dedicated to off your phone. You consciously know you're not going to be on your phone for this 30 minutes. And I'm not saying while you're at work, while you're driving. I mean, not times you're normally most likely, you know, hopefully you're not driving while on your phone or getting distracted at work, or in class. I know, especially with them all being on Zoom now. I know what you guys are doing. Chill. But, you know, just a time that you dedicate away from your phone, even as small as 30 minutes, and every day for 2 weeks. And after that 2 weeks, maybe extend it 40 minutes, an hour, even 35 minutes.
The important thing is balance. You know, it's just you gotta know internally how, like, maybe you can make a plan for yourself, maybe write it beforehand, but it's all about balance. That's really it. You don't have to, like, you know, just get off of it right away. You know, you have to do this, and this. You know, you could be chill about it. It's just the important thing about it is that, you know, you have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know, you don't have just one big thing. It's just, you know, something you can handle.
Yeah, I agree with that balance. It's very important. Rita, Michael, Khalil, do you guys have anything you like to say?
Yeah. So we were talking about the positives and negative effects of social media. One would argue that it's a positive. Some could say it's kind of be overdone and not so positive. But what do you guys think about all the Instagram story infographics as a positive and or negative effect of social media?
Well, For me, since I make a lot of infographics for the Vicaria Instagram page and also for an Arab sorority that I'm in, I think of it as a really good thing because I'm creating content that a bunch of people are going to see, and that'll bring awareness to whatever I'm trying to portray to whatever audience I am. So, like for my sorority, we bring a lot of attention to women's issues in the Middle East. So sometimes we have fundraisers to fund money for those organizations, and we raise money and brings awareness to a lot of people.
I mean, for the stories, I think, yeah, they're a good thing. They're a plus, especially because of what Rita said. You can get a lot of movements going, a lot of positive things going, and yeah, for the balance and like what Andreas was saying, it's definitely easier said than done. But yeah, he brought up some good points about how you could help yourself and having balance stuff like that. But also like the schedule, how you're talking about the schedule, Cleo, earlier. I was thinking to myself like it's so much harder to do that kind of stuff like during this time when you're like at home all day and stuff. Like it's so hard to not to be disciplined compared to when you have school. Like you go to school, okay, now I'm gonna go to the gym, and now it's like, okay, I mean if I don't do anything, who's gonna know, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, just want to say that.
Yeah, I find, yeah, the way I kind of motivate myself, to be honest, is by watching and listening to motivational speakers and kind of like motivating myself, and then listening to like spiritual fathers on YouTube. That's kind of how I motivate myself, because dude, I know it's a hard time, bro. You like, you want to sleep in, you don't need to get ready for school anymore. You just got to roll out of your bed and go on your laptop. So those are kind of the ways I kind of motivate myself, you know. But with what Chris was saying too, with walking and exercising is a great way to relieve stress, to organize your thoughts, to think about things. I think that's a great idea to do during this time.
So yeah, social media, it's a balance. You have to create a really good balance for yourself because you could get lost in the trap of social media, but it could also be a good thing. It could bring you so much good because you're finding people like you're finding orthodox stories, or you could get trapped in all the bad stuff. But you got to make sure that you are trying to be the best version of yourself and creating a good balance for yourself, especially during this time when we're all just sitting at home. But other than that, we're going to be ending this podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know if you want us to talk more about social media. And this is Precious Vessel.